Howdy friends, checking in on the market. So the bulls put a little bit of a stop to the bleeding. We did see some continuation to the downside initially to start the day, and then a shift in momentum, and then a double bottom on the S&P 500. Where we stand right now, still the burden of proof is on the bulls. We have to change the hourly trend with a higher low and higher high to shift that momentum and to set a new daily support level, and that just hasn't happened yet. So if we look on the hourly time frame, we had the low of the day, and then the high of the bounce, which was just an hourly lower high, double bottom at the low of the day, and then still a lower high. So we have to confirm the hourly trend change. Until then, the bears have the upper hand. Did end up playing the bounce this morning, and it was a bit of a pattern recognition, but without really seeing the pattern. So what I was looking at on SPY, as I was looking for the bulls to attempt to show up this morning, was just watching the 2-minute lower highs and lower lows continue. And what stood out to me, after getting rid of all these lines, what stood out to me was that we would hit a new low of the day and then not see any bear follow through. And where are we here? So here we were hitting the low of the day. And every time we hit a new low of the day, there was a lack of follow through. And that's generally what you see associated with a falling wedge pattern. And a falling wedge is a bullish pattern. But because of the setup this morning, I couldn't really draw a falling wedge. So I saw the clues for a falling wedge, but not the actual shape of the pattern itself. So what I mean is we hit the low of the day of 277.94, traded sideways a bit, a new low of the day by 11 pennies, straight into a bounce, a new low of the day by 12 pennies, straight into a bounce, and then we shifted momentum. So as soon as I saw that happening, I said, all right, that tells me it's a potential falling wedge. And then I looked around and I looked at XBI on the 2-minute time frame. And I said, oh yeah, that looks like a falling wedge much more clearly. I'm going to be looking, where are we? There we are. So this looks much more clearly like a falling wedge. And if I were going to draw this, I would be putting my downtrend resistance line, hitting these 2-minute lower highs. And then it was more of a channel, but you get the idea, a little bit of a wedge in there. And then we finally broke bullish. So as soon as I saw this forming, and as soon as I saw the SPY bears not getting any follow through, I entered LABU, the 3 times leveraged bull ETF, looking for a bottom fishing play. As soon as I made that entry right about here at 86, well, this isn't LABU, but I made this entry right about here, and I put my stop below the low of the day. Risk was about 20 cents on LABU, and reward ended up being a quick dollar to the upside. So that ends up being 5-to-1 reward versus risk. Just a very low risk trade, knowing that the stop loss would trigger me out. Ended up, unfortunately, I took half and then I tried to let half ride out for the hourly oversold bounce to get going. But we did end up breaking the low of the day, triggered the second half of my position to stop out break even after locking in profit on the first half of my position, and I missed that beauty of a move. It ended up being a day maker, and I ended up watching a week maker go by, but that's all right. We'll get him next time. So that's just going over my trade, but back to the analysis. Have to change the hourly trend, and until that happens, the bears have the short-term upper hand. Very clear that the bulls are defending support, which for SPY is in the mid 277s. We'll see if they can keep that up. Look how clear the hourly lower highs are on SPY. We got one at 281.51, another one at 280.19, and another one now at 279.45. Have to change those lower highs. IWM trying to bounce as well. Did we change the hourly trend is the question you need to be asking on everybody, in my opinion. And the answer is no, not yet. So we have our low of the day, high of the day, higher low, 149.46 is key short-term support, but we didn't confirm the hourly trend change until we clear that level. Look at the rejection. The high of the Friday afternoon bounce attempt, 151.24. The high of today, 151.32. And XLF, the financial sector, double topped with the high of the Friday resistance to the penny. So a very clear rejection from that resistance on XLF, but here on IWM, seeing resistance in that area as well. So just like SPY, have to see the hourly trend change for the shift in momentum. QQQ, let's not lose sight that the daily uptrend is still very much intact and the daily chart is still very bullish overall. We have a ton of space before the last consolidation level was set, but the hourly time frame needs to change the trend. Low of the day, lower high was 178.74, higher low, and still a lower high. Bulls want to break the high of today first thing tomorrow. And we had nice setups on QQQ and XLF to be looking bearish, where we had the high of the day, low of the day, lower high, higher low, just a big, broad 15-minute equilibrium. As soon as QQQ and XLF rejected from the high of the day on this bounce, SPY ended up getting a higher high, not by much, but just by a few pennies. But it would have been a bit of a fake out if you were not watching the major sectors that rejected from resistance. So just looking at XLF real quickly, 15-minute time frame from trading today, we saw high of the day, low of the day, lower high, held support, broke support. So couldn't break the high of the day for XLF and QQQ. That was our signal that SPY bounce, which originated from that falling wedge pattern, wasn't going to get much follow through. So QQQ has to change the hourly trend. XLF, trying to see a bullish reversal candlestick on the daily time frame. It too has to change the hourly trend. We did drop down and hit a new low of the day in the afternoon, which set it as more bearish than other sectors we were watching. Anything under 25.46 is a lower high. Here's our double top at 25.53 resistance to be watching. And make note that the 4-hour time frame is still absolutely oversold at this point. The RSI is down in the low 20s. The daily time frame attempting this bullish reversal doji, but we closed a little bit under it. So have to see the hourly trend changes on everybody. Otherwise, bears have short-term control. Biotech sector. So we're looking for the biotech sector to stay in a tightening daily pattern, and we're looking for a higher low to be set. If we can switch to the daily here trading view. So we've got our high of 92.99. Make sure your magnet is on for maximum accuracy. High of 92.99, low of 85.09, double top, and here's the bulls holding support of 85.05. Have to change the hourly trend to be confident our daily higher low has been established. Double top at the high of the day, 88.47. So we need to break the high of today, tomorrow, to be confident our daily higher low is established, and we'll try and make our way back up towards 93. So tightening daily range on the biotech sector, just another name that has to break and change the hourly trend to be looking at the daily momentum shifting back to the bulls. VIX is clearly a red Marabozu, showing that the bulls, or I should say that fear was alleviated to a certain degree, in the sense that SPY didn't dump today. SPY bulls found support. They held the low of the day twice. Let's look at what the intraday action looked like here. We had the high of the day, a new low of the day, lower high, and lower low. Actually, we closed right at the low of the day. But the bottom line is, it's clearly pulling back under 1830 resistance. Bulls are going to hope that a daily higher low forms and that we can break this double top, 1830 and 1790. Not exactly a double top by any means, but a clear lower high. So we need a higher low to establish, and then we need to make our way back there. And for that to happen, it would be essentially if SPY gives us a daily lower high and lower low, confirming that we're now in a daily downtrend. That would see VIX, in my opinion, give us that higher low and potential continuation move. Oil today, bulls did buy the dip. Oil is just fine for the bulls. Clearly still a very strong daily chart overall. A little bit choppy on the hourly and the 4-hour, so I don't like it for clarity on either of those time frames. So just sitting on the daily chart and watching to see, can the bulls follow through from this daily higher low attempt and break 59.33 tomorrow to tell us our new daily support is established and try and head back to 60.37, the recent resistance. So no red flags on oil at this point. Definitely watching the RSI on the daily, which did reject right from 70. But unless we see some significant downside or a lower high and lower low, the bulls are going to keep control. Natural gas had bearish follow through to start the day. Bulls bought the dip there. I like clarity on natural gas on the weekly time frame with our low of 257, high of 289, our double top. And now the bulls are looking for a weekly higher low. At this point on the daily chart, we are just looking for a daily lower high to form compared to 289. So the bulls not comfortable by any means, and the bears are actually pretty comfortable, anticipating a daily lower high is going to form. And if we get the daily lower high and lower low, then we know we're heading back down to the 257 support. So weekly time frame has to see the higher low and then trend change to confirm the shift in momentum. And at this point, we're still in consolidation mode. Today was just an hourly and 4-hour oversold bounce on natural gas. We'll see if the bulls can get any follow through from that bounce into tomorrow. So burden of proof in the markets is on the bulls. The bears had a lot of momentum on Friday. The bulls absolutely slowed that bearish momentum today, but they did not shift it back in their favor. We need hourly trend changes to do so. When we get hourly trend changes, we zoom out to the daily time frames and we scout for daily lower highs to potentially be set. And we're going to continue watching the financial sector, which has been the drag on the S&P 500. And once that 4-hour oversold bounce actually gets going, that will help alleviate some of the downward pressure on the markets as a whole. So that's that. Hope you're well. We'll check back in tomorrow. Good words. Adventure time, 1.5 million. We're going to Fifth Water Hot Springs in Utah. And it's a really cool spot. This is walking up to it, and this is a river. It looks like you're playing putt-putt mini golf, but it's just the minerals and sulfur in the water, making it that aqua blue with a bunch of different little pools that people have, established rocks around to make different depths and different temperatures. And again, just another one where you hike up a few miles and you camp. And yeah, there's a bunch of people there in the middle of the day, but if you are there at sunset when it's dark, or you're there first thing in the morning, really it's first thing in the morning because people will stay up late. But if you wake up with the sun and you go somewhere you want to be alone, you're usually going to be alone. There's usually not many other people that are going to wake up that early. So just a nice river in a nice little canyon with trees and a nice little soak. From there, went to Arches National Park, and Arches is right near Canyonlands National Park. So if you do one, you got to do the other. Went to Arches and then Canyonlands, and had some nice memories. I remember I took a shower in a downpour where I was sitting in my car and it was pouring rain and I hadn't showered in a while, and I figured might as well bust out the Bronner's and shower in the downpour. So I did that. Camped just outside of the park. Don't think there... Actually, no, I camped in the park. That's right. So there's just a bunch of arches, and it's just the way that the wind erodes the sandstone, which is pretty soft. You could definitely chisel away with it with a chisel. But it's all different kinds of formations and nice vast expanses and red rocks and interesting. That's going to fall sometime soon, you got to figure. But just a cool spot with a bunch of arches. So I ended up picking a spot to camp on by just walking towards the end of the trail and being alone and on some rocks and waiting for the sunset. There's me. And it looked like it was the Lion King in terms of the vast African expanse, but it's not. That's where my tent was. And for the sunset, there was actually some cool rounded rocks that I was sleeping on. And again, definitely need an inflatable air mattress when sleeping on rocks. There's also nowhere to stake in your tent. So I had to put my water jug on one end and my bag on the other to keep the tent expanded. But again, it's the kind of thing where if you're camping out in the open like that, exposed, you're going to wake up with the sun. It's going to be shining right on you. And that gets you starting the day before everybody else. And I find that in the last few years, as I've really been smashing it with all my effort and time into trading, that getting up before the sun every day, including most weekend days, allows me to get a ton accomplished while everybody else is just waking up. So if you want to get ahead of the game, put in more time and effort and wake up early. There's the sunset, and that's it. We're going to go to Canyonlands next. Canyonlands is an epic place. Encountered some cool people there. And we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Adventure time number 1 million. We got, where are we? We are in fall 5th. Shut up. Shut up.